Welcome back. I am Deacon Mark Campbell, along with Tim Glemkowski, the Executive Director of Amazing Parish, and we're going to talk about that here in just a moment. But as we went into the break, we were talking about your conversion and your experience, and at the Franciscan, the Steubenville Franciscan, what do we call those?
Like a youth conference?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
I've never been to one.
Okay, yeah.
I've heard great things. In fact, one of the kids that I sponsored through confirmation, he's there now, along with his sister, and I know I've received some formation through diaconate training from there.
Oh, neat.
So familiar from the outside looking in, but witnessing the fruit of it here right now in our conversation with you. And I know you went into a seminary then before you finally settled on the vocation of marriage. But quickly, I mean, this has been your life's work so far: evangelization, renewal. Being a messenger of the gospel, kind of talk about their early career that led up to the National Eucharistic Congress, which we talked about, and then we'll jump into your work with Amazing Parish.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah. So I think, for me, that question, it's kind of a complicated way of putting it, but the question today is, how do the means of the church become more conformed to her end, right? So the church exists so that all might have life, the life and life to the full that Jesus came to bring. Like every person, the church doesn't so much have a mission. The church is a mission. That's like why it exists, to bring that fruitfulness to all people. And I don't always think the church, right now is accomplishing that mission as fully as she could. So I taught high school theology for a bit, but that's been the through line for everything. I worked at a couple parishes, and then from that experience began just working with other parishes and pastors to sort of say, how do we do this? How do we help parishes be more places that are not just like open up the doors, whoever shows up kind of shows up, but to actually have our mission as central to everything we do.
Well, the temptation, I think, is to try to cookie cutter, one size fits all, plug and play sort of formula. But the nuances from across the United States, and then we'll just take the state of Iowa, where you've got a large city like Des Moines, and then you get in the rural areas, the needs are vastly different within that, but they're all facing some of the same struggles, and that is how do we communicate the kerygma?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's like core principles, right? It's more golf than it is, like it's more art than science at times, right? Like I think of golf, and it's because it's like you got to think about every shot and what your lie's like and what the wind's like. And I think, across parishes, right, what do we need? We need a healthy culture. So much of the time, the church's greatest obstacle to mission is dysfunction, like organizational dysfunction. And so we need to create a healthy culture, really help the pastor to make a decision to lead, build a healthy team around him, and then, help people encounter Jesus personally, respond to the basic gospel message. We're often talking to people at a place that they're not really at. Like they're not, someone's asking some of the more minute questions that we on the inside are asking about, like, so they're just wondering, like, is God real? Does he care? And what does that mean for me if he is and if he does? And so then from there, we have to help every Catholic who is growing in faith and trying to come into a deeper love of Jesus to experience a kind of a secondary conversion of saying, my life was given as a gift to me, but also to the world. And that there's some definite purpose that I'm supposed to accomplish in light of that mission that is really about, I'm God's plan A for some person who otherwise might never experience the life and life to the full that Jesus brings. And so those basic principles have to get woven into more of the culture of the Catholic Church in the United States.
That takes us, I think, right now to our next, the chapter in your life and where you're at now. And I imagine that, again, there was some discernment that went into staying with the National Eucharistic Congress, what that would look like, or this opportunity that you have with Amazing Parish. Was that a difficult decision? Or was that something that was made with relative ease and peace?
I think the Lord was very clear for me. Like, my job was to get the first Congress, sort of like this whole movement underway. And so we're going to have future Congresses, and dates for those are coming soon. I can't share too much now. I'm still in the board of directors, and I'm like a special assistant right now. But for me, it was very much so kind of a family decision. I was on the road probably 15 nights a month to kind of get the Congress lifted off the ground. It was a startup in many ways, and the effort that took, the Lord made clear. So about a year before the Congress, I had said to our board of directors and Bishop Cousins, the chairman, like, hey, we got to put a succession plan in place because I'm not going to be here forever. And thankfully, Jason Shanks, who is the COO of the Congress, who kind of got us to the finish line as well, too, was able to step into that kind of leader role to take it forward. So no, it was not an especially, the Amazing Parish thing was a surprise and a calling itself in terms of that being that specific mission. But I was very aware throughout that, like, I was the fire starter for the Congress, not necessarily the one to get it to, I can't wait to bring my kids. I can't wait to bring my grandkids someday to a National Eucharistic Congress and be like, Granddad was involved in these.
I can see that now, right? Based on your earlier comments of like, okay, we experienced it from this side. We will actually, the next one we want to experience it from
I can't wait to just
inside
go.
the stadium,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to go and just.
No press conferences, no worrying about needing to be at any certain place at any certain time. Just be there.
Strollers and wagons and just getting around. Yeah, I can't wait. Like legitimately, I think it's gonna be such a beautiful movement in the church. But no, a very clear sort of calling in and calling out. So it's been great to get back to, in some ways, a lot of the work I'd done was more in like the institution. So I'd worked for the Archdiocese of Denver. I'd started this ministry that was working with parishes. And so to get back to it from a slightly different angle, really focused on the fundamental problems, like the pain points that priests experience day in and day out in their leadership, and how to address those first as a place of kind of building the preconditions for mission. But it's Amazing Parish is 11 years old as an organization. It's founded by Pat Lencioni, who's a organizational health guru. A
friend of mine is he's a Pat Lencioni. Like he gobbles up everything.
Aficionado.
That he puts out there.
Yeah,
so.
no, I mean, he's like world famous, right? In terms of devout Catholic.
Right.
And so he and another businessman, John Martin from Denver, founded this organization to basically help priests. And they've coached like 1,100 pastors. They've had 1,500 pastors at their conferences. So they've had a beautiful impact in the church. And so to get to come in and be part of something that's already experienced so much kind of success and momentum fits our family schedule a lot better, and still, scratches a lot of my itches to, renew and reform the church. So it's a perfect fit.
Awesome. We'll I think now's a good. We'll just take a little short break here, and then when we come back, let's get into Amazing Parish. What it is, what does renewal look like? We've touched on a couple of those points a little bit, but we'll get into the specifics of how renewal impacts priests, and then the things that provide you are giving you hope for the future of the church. I'm Deacon Mark Campbell, along with Tim Glemkowski. He was the CEO of the National Eucharistic Congress, which took place in July in Indianapolis. And as we've mentioned, it was a great event. And if you were there, you know exactly what I mean by that. And you might even be experiencing how great it was by the fruits of those who have come back from the experience that they had here. He is now the executive director of Amazing Parish, and we're going to get into that organization and what that work looks like for him today and what his plans are to help with a continued renewal in the life of the church.